Hey everyone, it's Eric here from LapFix. Got another video for you guys today. We got this 2019, this A2159 Space Gray MacBook Pro. Still a really nice one. It's an Intel based model, so it's not quite the M1, just off by a year. A year and another model actually. It's actually in here for data recovery because the customer did have Time Machine backup on here, which is part of this one, which is pretty cool. And this is actually a time capsule. And yes, we do go back in time with it. Unfortunately, we didn't go back in time enough because the last saved backup wasn't more recent enough on it. So we are going to be mainly focused on recovering the data that's going to be on the MacBook currently. That's the only thing whenever you do have any of these types of devices or anything to back up, or especially if it's data that's important anyway, is you want to make sure that you back it up consistently. Sometimes you can set them if you have like an automatic backup that you can set it for a day, a week, or a month. But it's always a big deal, especially if you create something that you need that's something really important, to make a backup of it. Or even if you have one of these time machines, have another backup as well, or make a manual backup of that, because you can't ever have enough backups and you don't want to be going into a data recovery process to recover the data for that. Otherwise, if you forget or something, or if you don't have it, then that's why we're here, right? Especially if there's damage to this one. When you have an older time capsule as well, there could be other issues with it because it's an older drive, right? So who knows how long it could last. You don't know anything else there. It's not always good to have just one reliable backup. Doesn't matter about what brand or anything on there. Just make sure you have multiple ones of it. We actually have a video if you guys are interested in seeing time capsule data recovery. Go ahead and check that out. We have that here, but we're not here for that. We're here to recover the data on the Intel based MacBook. So let's go ahead, let's take a look, at least see what's going on with it. So we see, what are we getting here? We're getting about 20 volts, almost no amps in the one port. And let me see for the other port too. Which means the voltage is correct, but there's no current going through there, right? So we're getting the same thing on both, because the voltage usually, if you have like a CD32 issue, which is usually part of the charging circuit, it's one of the more things that fail outside of like a liquid spill or something. You see that, you might get 5 volts or you might get nothing showing up there, which could also be a problem with the ports. We see we're getting our correct voltage, but there's no amps. That usually means there's some type of short going on, right? There could be something else there. Even if the battery was bad, you would normally still see some type of current. We'll test that anyway, so I guess let's start off by just opening this up and taking a look inside. Okay, so we've opened it up. Let's take a look. Looks pretty clean. Don't see anything obvious there. Now, since there's an issue with the current, so we pop the battery and we get in our 20 volts, we got 0.01 amps. So a slight change, but nothing really, anything at all. Okay, so let's lift it up. It doesn't look like there's anything obvious off the bat there. So we're on a thermal cam. And what the thermal cam is going to do is going to detect, hopefully it's going to detect our culprit there, because they can't hide. We got our thermal cam up. We got the chopper out. We're going to look for the criminal. So let's see where the criminal is with thermal imaging. So let's plug it in. And what you'll normally see is this model actually has a covering here. That's where your USB-C circuit is. So sometimes you might see maybe that area get a little bit warm, or might see some chip there that might get slightly warm there. And this is your CD32. So this is actually part of the charging circuit. That's what's getting slightly warm. And that would usually mean when you plug it in one of the ports that you'll see one of the areas get warm, and that's because there's a circuit going on there. So if I plug in the other one, that means the one on the back should get slightly warm instead, because usually if there's 2 ports, there are 2 USB-C circuits. So you can see this one stopped getting warm. So when we plug it in again, we'll see that this area isn't getting warm anymore because the other IC is getting warm, and that's the other one's on the other side, so we can see there. So normally this is very normal behavior as long as you have like some type of current going through there, which is fine. And then when I unplug it, it should go away, but that's the point of it. So we're getting our voltage, we're still getting our 20 volts, no amps, and that's because something else is causing that. So usually this wouldn't be the culprit, because that's really it. We're getting our 20 volts, usually sounds pretty good on there. It doesn't seem to be pretty bad. So let's see if we go anywhere else. And sometimes the reflection can show something as well. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an area that's getting warm. We're looking at something that should be very, very, very obvious. We plug it in, we can kind of see this area gets a little bit warm around here. You see that? See how it's pulsating a little bit? And then it just kind of dies. So let's just take a look at this area. Let's go under the microscope and let's take at this area a little bit further. So we're going to look under the microscope and we see our ELC 180 is giving an issue. That's pretty close to where the LCD backlight circuit is. And it's considered the U6903. Nice. And it's our PV3V3 G3 hot RTC line, and this one is a ball grid array chip, which is a BGA, which means when you do a solder and desolder there, you have to remove the balls that are underneath, and then the new chip will actually have the connection of with the balls with it. So we need to remove, clean the old solder off, and we're going to do that. Just pretty much to make sure that the connection is going to be perfect and nice, and you have to make sure it's very, very delicate. It's very difficult to work with if you don't want to make a mistake on it. We do put it back, and it looks to be okay. This one's easy replacement, but when we replace it, we see that our CD32 is now giving an issue for it. So when we're chasing this short, that's what we see now. We're lucky on this model because the next model actually up is has the one where the board is or the CD32 is programmed, so you can't just do a replacement of the chip there. You would have to get a donor exactly how it is. You have to re-stencil, reball it, and use the same exact chip because there's a program on it, and that's how they make them on certain models. We're just very, very lucky that this one doesn't have that because it just makes the job much more difficult. And we're mainly just here for a data recovery. So we do the replacement on it here, and we need to be really careful. And we see a little tap in the corner, that usually means that it's all good and done. So let's go ahead and test it now. Okay, so for this one, we did a lot of work on it, as you guys already saw. We also had to go work with the firmware because the firmware had an issue. The T2 security chip gave a problem, and it wasn't allowing the MacBook to turn on. So we worked with the firmware. We were able to revive it. If you guys are interested in that process, there's a whole dedicated video for it. I think we have a few of them on it, but we show, yeah. So it should be pretty good now. Let's go ahead and just plug it in because we already saw it come on. So we should get our voltages. Yeah, we're getting our 20 volts, and we should be able to power it on. The battery's swollen, so, but this is mainly here for data recovery, so it doesn't matter as much because we can use this without that. The fan spin, and there you go. So you get an Apple logo. Yeah, you can kind of see the voltages. I have the thing loose right now. It's been a lot of work. So we're very, very happy. It's powering on now. We're getting a display. We're getting voltages going up there. So we just are going to log in pretty much to recover the data, and that's it. So we were able to log in. We were able to get the data. For this one, we did have to work with the firmware itself. We were able to revive it, and it did come on even after all that repair. So you guys can see really what it takes really to at least power on. If we weren't able to at this point, we have to go on another level of doing data recovery, which we can do as well. But of course, we were good to get this one. But it's not quite like the M1 where it's Apple Silicon, which is more difficult to it because it's more, it's ARM-based and it's more like a phone. So it's a bit more difficult usually to work with the newer ones. They're making the newer ones a lot more difficult just in general for repairs and data recoveries, but we do them all. So go ahead, check out those videos if you guys are interested. If you guys enjoy watching this data recovery, please go ahead and leave a like. It really does help us a lot. Subscribe for more data recoveries and MacBook data recoveries in general. If you guys are interested in that, we also do hard drive data recoveries, SSD data recoveries, USB data recoveries. If you guys are interested in doing a data recovery service with us, go ahead and check out our contact information linked in the description below. You can mail in your device. We're right outside of DC and Alexandria, Northern Virginia. If you're local, come on by, and otherwise you can mail in your device and we'll go ahead, see what we can do to recover your data for you. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye.